Welcome to Z Time. We make apocalypse stories for survivors. Thanks for listening. On with the tale. I hadn't slept. Not really. Just laid there on that stained mattress with my eyes closed, gun resting on my chest like it was breathing with me, rising and falling slow, matching whatever rhythm my body still had left in it. The room smelled like old smoke, cheap carpet, and the kind of damp that never left, like the building itself was sweating. The blinds were bent, half broken, and the early morning light pushed through in thin yellow lines, striping the wall, striping my arm, striping the Glock. My Glock, black frame, extended mag, switch on the back. Damon's, before it was mine. I ran my thumb over the switch without thinking, just feeling its shape. That little square of metal that turned a regular pistol into something else entirely. Something faster, something final. Outside, I could hear the city waking up in pieces. A car rolling slow, tires crunching broken glass. Somebody yelling down the block. A dog barking, then stopping sudden. South Side mornings didn't come in gentle. They came in cautious. I sat up slow, feeling the stiffness in my neck, my shoulders. Same clothes as yesterday. Black hoodie, black jeans, white Forces scuff gray now. My phone sat beside me on the floor. No messages. Not from Davion. He was working a different spot now. 3 blocks east. Different trap house. Different crew rotation. We kept it like that on purpose. Less attention. Less questions. Less chances somebody noticed how we looked at each other too long. 6 months, and nobody knew. 6 months of pretending he was just another soldier. 6 months of pretending I didn't feel calmer when he was near. I picked up the phone anyway. Checked. Nothing. I told myself that was good. Quiet meant safe. The apartment was empty except for me and the product. Kitchen counter lined with sandwich bags, each one tied tight, white and ready. Crack, heroin pills, whatever moved fastest that week. A cardboard box sat open beside it, filled with loose rounds. 9mm mostly, some .40. My job was simple. Watch it, protect it, move it when told. Supply the corner soldiers when they needed reloads, product, or guns. Trap house soldier. Not glamorous, not powerful, but trusted. And trust meant everything. I stood up and walked to the window, pushing the blind aside just enough to see out. Street looked normal, which meant nothing. Normal was when people got killed. Normal was when police kicked doors in at 5 in the morning and shot first because they were scared of what they couldn't control. Normal was when your brother died face down on this same kind of floor. Damon used to tell me this life was structure. Said it was order in a world that didn't give a fuck about you. So the nation took care of its own. He believed that. I still did. Even after they killed him. Especially after they killed him. A car drove past slow. Tinted windows. Didn't stop. I watched it until it turned the corner. My hand never left the Glock. There was a knock at the door. 3 knocks. Pause. 2 knocks. Code. I moved quiet, stepping over the loose boards, gun already raised. "Oh," I said low. "Folk," the voice answered. Relief came second. Instinct came first. I unlocked the door, but didn't open it all the way, just enough to see through the crack. Lil Mike stood there. 17. Skinny. Hoodie too big for him. Eyes always moving. He wasn't built for this life yet. But life didn't care. "You good?" he asked. "I'm good," I said. "Corner dry?" "They need more." And Tone said he wanted another pole. "Pole. Gun." I nodded once and opened the door wider, letting him in quick before closing it behind him. He looked at the table, the product, the ammo. "You here all night?" "Yeah." He nodded like he expected that. Nobody asked if you were tired. Tired didn't matter. I went to the bedroom closet and reached behind the loose drywall panel. My fingers found cold metal. I pulled out another Glock. Extended mag already in it. I handed it to him grip first. "Don't flash it," I said. "I know. Safety ain't real. Respect it anyway." He nodded again. I grabbed a plastic bag from the counter, filled it with smaller packs, tied it tight, handed it over. His hand shook just a little. He tried to hide it. I saw anyway. "Relax," I said. "Ain't nobody hitting you this early." He gave a weak smile. "I ain't nervous." I didn't call him out. We all lied about fear. He left a minute later, and the apartment felt empty again. Too quiet. I checked my phone again without thinking. Still nothing. Davion usually checked him by now. Just a single word sometimes. Safe. That's all it took. I sat back down on the mattress, gun resting across my lap, eyes on the door, listening to the building breathe around me. This was my life. Watching, waiting, protecting, belonging. Out there, the world didn't care if I existed. But in here, I had purpose. In here, I had family. In here, I was somebody. And I would kill to keep it that way. The call came at 8:12 a.m. I knew who it was before I even looked at the screen. Reese. I let it ring twice before answering. Not too fast. Not too slow. There was rules to everything, even answering a phone. Yeah. You still at the Vernon spot? His voice was calm, flat. Reese never sounded rushed. Never sounded emotional. That was why he was where he was. Yeah. Pause. We burn in it. Just like that. No explanation. No discussion. Orders. Today. I asked. Now. I stood up immediately, already moving, already scanning the room in my head. Police. Don't matter, he said. It's hot. That's enough. That meant somebody talked. Or somebody watched too long. Or somebody important felt uncomfortable. Could have been police. Could have been black disciples. Could have been nobody. Paranoia was part of survival. Were we shifting? I asked. King Drive. 3rd floor. Red door. You know it. I did. Old building. Better sight lines. Worse exits. Yes. You got 30 minutes. Tay and Marcus outside. Click. Call over. That was hierarchy. At the bottom, you had corner soldiers. Kids mostly. Sellers. Lookouts. Disposable. Above them, trap house soldiers like me. Trusted. Armed. Responsible for product and weapons. Above us, enforcers. Men who handled violence when violence was needed. Above them, coordinators like Reese. Logistics. Movement. Strategy. And above everybody, leadership. Men you didn't question. Men you rarely saw. Structure. Order. Family. I moved fast, grabbing the product first, stuffing it into 2 black backpacks. Tight. Organized. Nothing loose. Nothing wasted. Ammo went next. Box by box. Guns last. 3 Glocks. 1.40. 1 short AR pistol with a brace folded tight. I checked each one. Loaded. Ready. Damon taught me that part. Said never trust a weapon you didn't check yourself. His voice lived in my hands now. A knock came at the door. 2 knocks. Pause. 1 knock. I opened it. Tay stood there. Big. Quiet. Beard thick. Eyes calm like nothing in the world surprised him anymore. Marcus stood behind him. Thinner. Nervous energy always bouncing under his skin. We moving, Tay said. I'm ready. He looked past me, scanning the apartment. Always checking. Always thinking. You ride with us, he said. Not a question. I slung the backpacks over my shoulders and followed them out. The hallway smelled like piss and mildew. Our footsteps echoed too loud. Every sound mattered when you carried this much weight. Outside, their car sat waiting. Black Charger. Tinted windows. Marcus drove. Tay in the passenger seat. I sat in the back, bags at my feet, Glock resting in my lap under my hoodie. We pulled off slow. Nobody talked. Eyes always moving. Every stop sign a risk. Every passing car a threat. This was how the nation survived. Constant motion. Never predictable. Marcus turned on his 63rd, heading east. That was when we saw them. 4 of them. Standing on the corner by the liquor store. Black disciples. I knew by the way they stood. The way they watched the street like it belonged to them. One of them stepped forward as we slowed at the light. He looked straight into the car. Saw us. Recognition hit both ways. Marcus muttered, shit. Tay stayed calm. Keep driving, he said. The light was still red. The disciple stepped closer. Hand inside his hoodie. Testing. Territory was everything. Marcus's foot hovered between brake and gas. The disciple knocked on the window. Tap. Tap. Slow. Disrespectful. Tay lowered his window halfway. What's good? Tay said calmly. The disciple leaned down slightly. Young. Maybe my age. Eyes hard. Trying to prove something. Y'all lost, he asked. No. This BD block. Tay didn't react. We passing through. The disciple smiled a little. Mocking. His hand stayed inside his hoodie. Behind him, his boys shifted slightly. Positioning. Tension thickened the air. I already had my Glock in my hand, low, out of sight. Safety off. Switch ready. The disciple leaned closer. Pass faster. For a second, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then Marcus hit the gas. The Charger surged forward, tires squealing slightly. I looked back through the rear window. They watched us go. Didn't chase. Didn't shoot. Not today. But the message was clear. This wasn't just our city anymore. Nobody spoke for a full minute. Then Tay said quietly, "War coming. Not fear. Fact." I looked down at the Glock in my hand. Checked the switch again. Ready. Always ready. Because this life didn't forgive hesitation. And neither did the men who lived it. The building on King Drive looked like it was already dead. Brick faded to that tired gray-brown color. Windows half covered with plywood. The front door hanging open just enough to let you know nobody cared who came in anymore. Places like this didn't belong to landlords. They belonged to whoever was willing to hold them. Marcus parked in the alley behind it. Engine off. Nobody moved right away. Tay turned slightly in his seat, looking back at me. "You carry keys?" he asked. I shook my head. "Nah." He nodded once. That was good. Keys meant responsibility. Keys meant accountability. Trap house soldiers didn't keep keys unless leadership wanted that location tied directly to them. He opened his door. "Bring everything." I stepped out in the cold air, both backpacks heavy on my shoulders, Glock tucked into my waistband under the hoodie. The alley smelled like rot and engine oil. Somewhere nearby, a siren wailed, distant, constant. Chicago never stopped screaming. You just learned to stop hearing it. We went through the back entrance. Inside, the hallway was narrow, walls stained yellow, floors soft in places where water had eaten through it. Every step had to be careful. Weak buildings killed careless men. Third floor. Each level up made the city quieter. Or maybe it just made you easier to kill. We stopped in front of the red door. Tay knocked once. Pause. Twice. Locks shifted on the other side. The door opened halfway. Dre stood there. Mid-20s. Thin. Sharp face. Smarter than he talked. He'd been inside twice already and somehow made it back out both times. That gave him weight. He saw me first. "You the replacement?" he asked. "I ain't replacing nobody," I said. He smirked a little. "Relax. Just asking." He opened the door wider. Inside, 3 more people. Tone sat at the table, counting money. Slow. Careful. He was older. 30 maybe. One of Reese's trusted enforcers. He wasn't big, but he carried himself like he didn't need to be. Near the window stood Malik. Watching outside. Always watching. He didn't turn when we came in. And on the couch, Lil Ant, young like Mike, maybe 18, cleaning a Glock with too much focus, like if he stopped paying attention it might disappear. Tone looked up. "You Trayvon." Not a question. "Yeah." He nodded once. "You Damon's brother." There it was. Always came back to that. "Yeah." Tone held my eyes for a moment longer than comfortable. Damon had rank. Damon had respect. Damon had reputation. His death left space. Space people watched carefully. "You work hard," Tone said. "Reese trusts you." "Yeah." He gestured toward the kitchen. "Set it up." I moved immediately, unloading the backpacks onto the counter. Product first, organized in rows. Ammo stacked beside it. Guns last. Tone stood and walked over, inspecting everything. He picked up one of Glock's. Checked it. Cleared it. Reset it. Professional. He nodded slightly. Good. That one word meant approval. Approval meant survival. Dre leaned against the wall, watching me. "You ever worked this building before?" he asked. "No." He jerked his head toward the window. "Good sight lines. Bad exits." I already knew. Malik finally spoke, still facing outside. "BD's been pushing closer." Tone answered him calm. "They testing. They gonna do more than test." Tone shrugged slightly. "Then we do more than answer." Simple. That was how war worked here. Lil Ant looked up from the couch. "They hit Rico last night." The room shifted slightly. Tone's face hardened. "Dead." Ant nodded. "Corner of 69th. Silence filled the apartment. Another name gone. Another hole in the structure. Tone looked at me. "You carried Damon's gun?" "Yeah." He nodded once. "Good. Not sympathy. Expectation." Malik finally turned from the window, looking directly at me for the first time. "You shoot." I held his stare. "Yes." He watched me another second, measuring. Then he nodded slightly and turned back to the street. Test passed. "For now." Tone spoke again. "You stay here tonight." Not asking. Dre rotates out. Dre pushed off the wall. No argument. No emotion. This was how it worked. You went where told. You stayed as long as needed. You didn't question leadership. Because leadership was the nation. And the nation was family. Tone picked up his coat. "Reese calling meeting tomorrow," he said. "Things changing." Nobody asked how. Nobody asked why. If Reese called a meeting, it meant something big was coming. Tone stopped at the door, looking back at all of us. Stay sharp. Then he left. The apartment felt heavier after he was gone. More responsibility. More expectation. More risk. I moved to the window beside Malik, looking down at the street 3 floors below. People walking. Cars moving. Normal. Always normal. Until it wasn't. My phone buzzed in my pocket. My heart reacted before my brain did. I pulled it out. Davion. One word. Safe. I exhaled without realizing I'd been holding my breath. I typed back. You good? The 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Then nothing. I stared at the screen. Waiting. Night made everything more honest. Daytime was noise. Movement. Eyes everywhere. Night was where truth lived. Night was where you could breathe without performing. I told Malik I was stepping out to smoke. He didn't question it. He just nodded, eyes still on the street below, rifle resting against the wall beside him. He'd been standing there for hours already, barely moving. Some people were built to become part of the structure. I moved down the hallway slow, quiet, hand resting near the Glock in my waistband out of habit more than fear. The building creaked around me, settling into itself. Outside, the air was cold enough to wake you up fully. My phone buzzed once in my pocket. Behind. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. I walked down the block, hands in my hoodie, head forward, pace normal. Never rushed. Never slow. Just another shadow moving through shadows. Then I heard his footsteps behind me. Matching mine. Not too close. Not too far. I turned the corner into the alley between 2 boarded buildings. He was already there. Davion leaned against the brick wall, hood up, hands in his pockets. His face was half shadow, half moonlight, but I knew every line of it already. The way his jaw tightened when he was stressed. The small scar near his left eyebrow. The way his eyes softened when he saw me, even when he tried to hide it. You took long enough, he said quietly. Had eyes on me. He nodded. Always understood. We stood there for a second without touching, just existing in the same space. Even that was dangerous. Then he stepped closer, close enough that nobody looking from a window could see space between us. You good? He asked. Yeah. You eating? Yeah. Lie. He studied my face like he didn't believe me. I've been worried, he said. I'm good. I wasn't, but I needed him to believe I was. His hand brushed mine for half a second. Quick. Hidden. Electric. That was all we allowed ourselves out here. 6 months of fragments. 6 months of stolen seconds. 6 months of loving each other in the margins of violence. They're moving me west tomorrow, he said. My chest tightened. Why? Reese order. Everything came back to Reese. You'll be good, I said. He nodded, but neither of us believed words meant safety. His hand touched mine again, longer this time, fingers pressing slightly, saying everything we couldn't say out loud. I ain't letting nothing happen to you, he said. I want to believe that too. A sound cut through the alley. Wet. Thick. Wrong. We both froze. It came again. A tearing sound, followed by something like chewing. Davion heard it too. His hand moved under his hoodie. Gun. We turned slowly toward the deeper part of the alley. Behind the dumpster, something moved. At first, my brain didn't understand what I was seeing. A man crouched over something on the ground. His back to us. Shoulders jerking in small, violent motions. Wet sounds. Gnawing. Teeth hitting bone. Davion whispered, "What the fuck?" The man shifted slightly. Moonlight hit his face. Blood covered his mouth. Thick. Dark. Fresh. His skin looked wrong. Pale. Gray. His eyes. Empty. Not drunk. Not high. Empty. Below him, another man lay on his back, throat open, chest torn, ribs visible through shredded flesh. The crouched man tore another piece free with his teeth. A sound escaped him. Not human. Not animal. Something in between. My body reacted before my mind did. I drew the Glock. The man's head snapped toward us. He stood too fast. Too stiff. Blood hanging from his mouth. He took a step toward us. Davion said, "Yo," I fired. The shot exploded in the confined alley. The round hit his chest. He jerked, but didn't fall. Didn't even slow. He kept coming. I fired again. Chest. 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 Nothing. No reaction like a normal person. No pain. No fear. Just movement. Closer. His mouth opened. I saw pieces of meat between his teeth. I raised the gun higher. Aimed at his head. Fired. The bullet snapped his head back violently. His body dropped instantly. Still. Silent. Dead. For real this time. The smell hit me then. Blood. Rot. Waste. Davion stared at the body. What the fuck was that? I didn't answer, because I didn't know, and that scared me more than anything else ever had. Go, I said. We didn't argue. We separated immediately, moving in opposite directions. Distance protected secrets. I walked fast back toward the trap house, every shadow wrong now, every sound loaded with meaning. I reached the building, climbed the stairs, entered the apartment. Malik looked over immediately. You good? Yeah, I said automatically, but he saw it on my face. You see something? It wasn't a question. Dre sat up from the couch. What? I told him. Everything. The man. The eating. The way he didn't react to body shots. The headshot. Silence filled the room when I finished. Lil Ant spoke first. I seen something earlier. We looked at him. He swallowed. Dude standing in the street. Middle of the day. Just standing there. He shifted slightly. Swaying. Nobody spoke. Malik said quietly. I seen one too. We looked at him. Thought he was high. He stared out the window again. He wasn't moving right. Dre laughed slightly, but there was no humor in it. Everybody high out here. Nobody agreed. I moved to the window beside Malik. Looked down at the street. People still moving. Cars still passing. Normal. But now, it didn't feel normal anymore. It felt fragile, like something was peeling back, waiting to show itself. I rested my hand on the Glock, watching, waiting, for something else to move wrong. Morning came gray. Not bright, not clean, just gray, like the sky didn't want to commit to being alive. I was still at the window when the light started bleeding into the street, washing the sodium glow away, replacing it with something colder. The city looked the same. Same cracked sidewalks. Same liquor store across the street. Same people moving like they always did. But something underneath it had shifted. I hadn't slept. Nobody had. Malik was still standing beside me. Same position, same rifle leaning within arm's reach. Dre was at the table, breaking product down into smaller packages with slow, deliberate hands. Lil Ant sat on the couch, Glock in his lap, watching nothing. Nobody said much. The air felt tight. My phone sat on the table beside me. No message from Davion. I checked it again anyway. Nothing. A police siren screamed, passed outside. Fast. Faster than normal. Not cruising. Moving. Malik noticed it too. They've been moving all night, he said. His voice stayed calm, but his eyes tracked everything. Another siren followed. Different direction. Then another. Dre stopped what he was doing. That ain't normal. Before anyone could answer, Malik's burner phone buzzed in his pocket. He answered immediately. Yeah. He listened. Didn't speak for almost 30 seconds. His face didn't change, but something behind his eyes did. He hung up. That was Rico cousin, he said. Rico. The one who got killed yesterday. What? Dre asked. Malik paused. He said police shot some dude 6 times. Nobody reacted. That wasn't unusual. Malik finished. He kept coming. The room went still. My stomach tightened. Where? I asked. Englewood. Close. Too close. Lil Ant shifted on the couch. That ain't possible. Malik didn't answer. Because we'd all seen it now. Or something like it. Dre tried to laugh it off. Probably PCP or some shit. Nobody agreed. Nobody disagreed either. We lived in a world where impossible things happened all the time. My phone buzzed suddenly. All of us looked at it. Unknown number. I answered. Yeah. Static filled the line. Then a voice. Reese. You still at King Drive? Yes. Listen carefully. His tone was different. Still calm. But heavier. Police and EMS moving heavy. Reports of riots. People attacking civilians. Attacking officers. Nobody spoke in the room. They listened to my side of the conversation like it was scripture. What you want us to do? I asked. Same thing we always do. Of course. Stay operational. Stay armed. Protect the product. Protect the territory. Territory. Even now. Nation stays active, he continued. We don't panic. Panic get you killed. His voice hardened slightly. Everybody stays strapped. No exceptions. I looked at the Glock on the table. Already ready. Understood, I said. He paused. If you see anything unusual, pause. You handle it. Click. Call ended. That was leadership. Not denial. Not fear. Structure. If the world was changing, the nation would change with it. Dre spoke first. So we just keep working. Malik nodded. Yes. Simple as that. The machine didn't stop. Because stopping meant weakness. And weakness got eaten alive. Outside, the street kept moving. But now I saw it differently. A man stood on the corner too long. Not waiting, not walking, just standing, swaying slightly. My hand moved toward the Glock without thinking. He stayed there for almost a full minute, then slowly walked away. Wrong. Everything felt wrong. Lil Aunt whispered, "You see that?" "Yeah," I said. Nobody joked now. Nobody pretended. Malik lifted the rifle and rested it beside the window. Ready position. Watching. Waiting. The city wasn't normal anymore. It just hadn't realized it yet. My phone stayed silent. Davion still hadn't answered. And that scared me more than sirens. It happened at 10:17 in the morning. I know the exact time because I looked at my phone right after, like seeing numbers would make it make sense. The street had been quiet for almost 20 minutes. Too quiet for this part of the South Side. Even the usual fiends weren't moving like they normally did. People stayed inside. Curtains drawn. Doors closed. The city was holding its breath. Then the man appeared. He came from the north end of the block, walking slow. Wrong slow. Not tired. Not careful. Just delayed. Like his body was listening to instructions that took too long to arrive. Malik saw him too. He didn't say anything, just shifted slightly beside me. The man stopped in the middle of the street. Stood there, swaying. Same thing Aunt described yesterday. Same thing I saw in the alley. His clothes were dirty. Shirt torn. Something dark stained the front of it. Blood maybe, or something else. He didn't react to anything around him. Didn't look at cars. Didn't look at buildings. Just stood. Then a woman stepped out of the liquor store across the street. She was older, maybe 50, plastic bag in her hand, cigarettes, and something else inside. She didn't see him at first. She turned, adjusting her purse on her shoulder. She walked right toward him. Malik said quietly, "She don't see him." I felt my hand tighten around the block. The woman got closer. 10 feet. 5 feet. She noticed him. Paused. Confused. Said something. I couldn't hear the words through the glass. The man's head turned toward her. Fast. Too fast. Before she could react, he lunged. Not clumsy. Not weak. Violent. They hit the pavement hard. Her bag flew from her hand. She screamed. High and sharp. Full of confusion more than pain. He was on top of her immediately. His hands clawing. His mouth, he bit her. Her scream changed. Turned into something primal. He tore in her throat like an animal. Blood spread across the sidewalk, bright and wet in the gray morning. Lil Aunt shouted behind me, "Yo!" Dre stood up fast, knocking his chair over. Malik already had the rifle in his hands. I raised the Glock. Across the street, nobody helped her. Nobody ran toward her. People ran away. Doors slammed. Windows shut. The man didn't stop. Didn't hesitate. Didn't care. He fed. Malik spoke, calm and steady. "Ed." He didn't need to explain. He fired. The rifle cracked, deafening inside the apartment. The round hit the man in the side of the head. His body dropped instantly. Still. Dead. For real. The woman didn't move. Blood pooled under her. Nobody went to check on her. Nobody went near her. Because now everyone understood. Something new lived here. It wasn't human anymore. My phone buzzed in my hand. "Reese." I answered immediately. "You seeing it?" he asked. "Yes." Pause. His voice stayed calm. Always calm. Listen carefully. I listened. Nation holding territory. Not running. Not hiding. Holding. We don't give up blocks to nobody. Not BD. Not police. Not these sick motherfuckers. His tone hardened. This our ground. Ownership meant survival. "What you want us to do?" I asked. Everybody armed. Everybody watching. Corner soldiers stay posted in pairs. Nobody alone. Structure adapting. War protocol. "If they approach," he said, "you drop them. Not if they attack. If they approach." "Headshots," he added. He knew. "How far is this spread?" I asked. Pause. Then, everywhere. The word sat heavy in my chest. Everywhere meant Davion. Everywhere meant nobody was safe. "You hold that building," Reese said. More soldiers moving to reinforce. Click. Call ended. Malik lowered the rifle slowly. Dre stared out the window. What the fuck is happening? Nobody answered. Because nobody knew. Outside, the woman's body didn't move. The man's body didn't move. But the damage was already done. This wasn't gang war. This wasn't police pressure. This was something else. Something that didn't fear guns. Didn't fear death. Didn't fear anything. I checked my phone again. Still nothing from Davion. And for the first time since this started, I felt fear. Real fear. Not of dying, but of losing him somewhere in a city that was starting to eat itself. I rested the Glock against the window frame, watching, waiting, ready to kill whatever came next. She moved at 11:02 a.m. I know that because Dre said the time out loud, like saying it would anchor him to something real. Her body had been lying there for almost 40 minutes. Nobody touched her. Nobody went near her. Blood had dried dark around her neck, soaking into the concrete. Her eyes stayed open, staring at nothing. Dead. We all knew dead. Malik kept the rifle resting on the window frame, barrel pointed down, but ready. Lil Ant sat beside the wall, silent now. All the nervous energy burned out of him. Dre stood next to me, watching like he didn't trust his own vision anymore. Below us, the street stayed mostly empty. Then her arm twitched. Small, barely noticeable. I saw it anyway. Yo, I said quietly. Malik's rifle came up instantly. Her fingers curled. Slow, like they were remembering how to exist. Dre whispered no. Her head rolled slightly to one side. Her mouth opened. No breath. No air. Just movement. She sat up, not like a person waking up, like something lifting a puppet. Wrong. Everything wrong. Her head turned sharply, scanning without emotion, without confusion, without pain. Her throat was still open. She shouldn't have been able to move. But she did. Lil Ant stood up fast. That ain't real. Her legs moved under her. Slow. Unstable. Then she stood. Blood ran down her chest. Her eyes found a man across the street. He froze. She moved toward him. Malik fired. The rifle cracked again. The round hit her in the chest. She didn't stop. Didn't slow. Just like the one in the alley. Malik adjusted aim. Fired again. Head. Her body dropped instantly. Still. Dead again. Nobody spoke. Nobody needed to. We understood now. They didn't stay down. Not unless you destroyed the head. Lil Ant whispered, "They coming back." Above us, a deep thumping sound filled the air. Heavy. Rhythmic. We all looked up instinctively. Helicopters. 3 of them. Military. Flying low over the city. Not passing through. Circling. Watching. Dre said, "Military don't come unless it's bad." My phone buzzed again. Reese. I answered immediately. "You see the helicopters?" Not a question. Yes. His voice stayed calm, but faster now. Police setting roadblocks. Hospitals overwhelmed. EMS collapsing. I could hear voices in the background where he was. Controlled chaos. We consolidating, he said. Strength in numbers. Too many unknowns. Small crews vulnerable. That meant movement. That meant risk. New location, he said. Cottage Grove. Bigger building. More soldiers. I already understood. When I asked. Now. Always now. Bring everything. Nobody travels alone. Pause. We reaching out to BD leadership. That surprised me. Enemies yesterday. Something else today. We need to know how they handling this, Reese said. War had rules. This wasn't war. This was survival. Click. Call ended. Malik turned from the window. You heard? Yeah. He nodded. Pack it. Dre and Ant moved immediately. No hesitation. Structure held even when the world didn't. I grabbed the product. The ammo. The guns. Every movement felt heavier now. Outside, sirens screamed constantly. Not responding. Running. Police cars sped past intersections. Not stopping for anything. They weren't controlling it. They were reacting to it. That meant it was bigger than them. My phone sat heavy in my pocket. I pulled it out. Opened Davion's messages. Still nothing since last night. My chest tightened. I typed. You good? I stared at the screen. Then added, please answer. I hated that word. Please meant helpless. Please meant fear. I sent it anyway. We moved down the stairs together. Malik in front. Me behind him. Dre and Ant covering the rear. Formation. Protection. Family. Outside, the world had changed completely. People ran without direction. Cars crashed and sat abandoned. In the distance, smoke rose into the gray sky. The helicopters kept circling, watching, waiting. I tightened my grip on Damon's Glock and prayed Davion was still alive somewhere in this dying city. We saw them before they saw us. At least I think we did. We were moving east on foot, cutting through a residential block to avoid the main streets. Malik led, rifle up, Dre behind him, me in the middle with Ant. 2 more soldiers from another building had joined us halfway, both armed, both quiet. The city sounded wrong. Not just sirens. Not just helicopters. Screaming. Distant. Constant. Human. We reached the corner of 67th and paused. Malik held up his fist. Stop. We froze. He pointed. Down the street. At first, my brain didn't register what I was seeing. People. Standing. Dozens of them. Just standing in the road. Some swaying slightly. Some completely still. Clothes torn. Skin pale. Blood visible on arms, faces, mouths. Too many to count immediately. 20. Maybe more. My stomach dropped. Aunt whispered, yo. One of them turned its head. Saw us. Its mouth opened. It started moving toward us. Not fast. Not slow. Certain. Then the others noticed. Heads turning. Bodies shifting. Movement spreading through them like a signal. They began walking toward us. Malik said calmly, back up. We stepped backwards slowly. They kept coming. No hesitation. No fear. Just hunger. Malik raised the rifle. Headshots only. He fired. The first one dropped instantly. The sound echoed down the block. Loud. Too loud. Dre fired next. Another dropped. I raised Damon's Glock. Fired. The recoil snapped through my arm. The infected's head snapped back, body collapsing. But more kept coming. More than before. The gunshots were drawing them. From side streets. From alleys. From buildings. They emerged like shadows becoming solid. Ant shouted more. Gunfire erupted. Controlled. Precise. Headshots. One by one they fell. But every shot made it worse. The noise was a beacon. They kept coming. Closer now. Too close. One got within 10 feet. Its face was half gone. Teeth exposed through torn flesh. I fired. Its head split. It dropped at my feet. Another lunged toward Dre. Malik dropped it before it reached him. But they weren't stopping. Ant yelled, we gotta move. Malik nodded. Fall back. Now. We ran. Not panicked. Controlled retreat. Firing when necessary. Creating space. Breaking contact. Turning corners. Moving fast. My heart slammed against my ribs. My lungs burned. My hand stayed steady. We didn't stop until we reached Cottage Grove. The new building stood on the corner. Brick. 3 stories. Windows intact. Door already barricaded with wood and metal reinforcement. Strong. Defensible. 2 GD soldiers opened the door just long enough to let us in. Then sealed it immediately behind us. Inside, 15 of us total. Armed. Ready. Alive. The windows upstairs gave perfect sight lines down both streets. Malik moved to one immediately. I joined him. Below us, the infected slowly wandered into view, drawn by our earlier gunfire. But they didn't know where we were now. Not yet. Dre exhaled heavily. That was too many. Malik nodded. They gathering. Not random anymore. Pattern. Evolution. My phone buzzed suddenly. Everyone froze. I checked it. Davion. You alive? Relief hit so hard it almost hurt. I typed immediately. Yes. Where you at? No response yet. But he was alive. That was enough. A voice spoke behind us. Yo. We turned. One of the soldiers at the opposite window pointed outside. Across the street. 4 men stood there. Armed. Watching us. Black disciples. I recognized one of them immediately. Same one from the Charger window yesterday. He raised one hand. Not pointing a gun. Just signaling. Malik didn't lower his rifle. Neither did they. Nobody moved for a long moment. Then the BD stepped forward slightly. Called out. We ain't here to fight. His voice carried clearly in the quiet street. This shit bigger than that now. Nobody answered immediately. Trust didn't exist between us. Not yet. He continued. They hitting our blocks too. He gestured toward the wandering infected. We losing people. Same story. Same losses. Same enemy. Malik spoke back. What you want? The BD hesitated. Then said it. Ceasefire. The word felt foreign. Unnatural. But necessary. He continued. We hold our side. You hold yours. Pause. We share info. That meant cooperation. That meant survival. Malik didn't answer right away. He looked at all of us. We all understood what this meant. The world that existed yesterday was gone. This was something else now. Finally, Malik nodded once. Slow. We ain't shooting unless you shoot. Not alliance. Not yet. But not war. The BD nodded back. Respect. Understanding. He stepped back. His group retreated. Not enemies. Not friends. Something new. Something unfinished. Malik lowered the rifle slightly. For now, he said. For now was enough. We had a building. We had numbers. We had guns. And for the first time since this started, we had a chance. My phone buzzed again. Davion. Trapped. West side. Too many. Need safe way through. My chest tightened. He was alive, but not safe. And the city between us was filling with the dead. Davion called instead of texting. That alone told me how bad it was. I answered before the first ring finished. Where you at? I said immediately. His breathing filled the line first. Fast. Controlled, but barely. West side, he said. Homan. That was far. Too far. What's your situation? Silence for half a second. Then he said, it's worse than you think. I pressed the phone tighter to my ear. How many? Hundreds. The word didn't make sense. Hundreds. I repeated. They everywhere, he said. Streets full. Buildings full. They coming out of houses, cars, buses. People hiding, getting pulled out. Police tried to hold the intersection here. Pause. They gone now. Gone didn't mean left. Gone meant dead. I seen one cop dump a whole mag into one, Davion continued. Didn't stop until he hit the head. Same rules everywhere. Same reality. What about military? I asked. I seen helicopters, he said. Heard gunfire downtown. Heavy gunfire. Like war. War. That's exactly what it was. They ain't here, though, he added quietly. Not here. Southside was always last to get help. Or first to get abandoned. You safe right now? I asked. I'm inside, he said. Second floor. Doors locked. His breathing steadied slightly. But they outside. My chest tightened. I'm coming to get you, I said. He didn't answer immediately. Then, Trey, I'm coming, I repeated. Silence. Then he said quietly, okay. The line went dead. I stood there for a second, phone still against my ear. Malik watched me. What? I gotta talk to Reese. He nodded once. Do it. Reese answered immediately. You secure? Yes. What you need? Straight to it. Davion trapped west side, I said. Homan. Pause. You asking for rescue. Not mocking. Not surprised. Just processing. Yes. Long silence. I waited. Finally, he said, not now. My jaw tightened. He ain't gonna make it if we wait. Reese didn't raise his voice. Listen carefully. I listened. This city falling faster than anybody predicted. His words came slow, precise. Military engaging downtown. Police collapsing. Hospitals overrun. I could hear voices behind him. Organized. Focused. We on our own out here. That part didn't surprise me. We developing strategy now, he continued. Structure. Always structure. Large groups. Secure buildings. Rotating supply raids. Ammunition control. Territory defense. War planning. This not ending soon, Reese said. Not panic. Fact. We building something that lasts. Survival wasn't enough. They were planning to live. We get him, Reese said finally. Relief hit instantly. But not alone. Not reckless. Controlled rescue. Strategic. Few days, he said. We stabilized first. Few days felt like forever. But it was better than nothing. Click. Call ended. Malik watched me. He's sending people? Yes. Malik nodded. Good. Behind us, the room filled with movement. More GD soldiers had arrived. Weapons stacked on tables. Ammo sorted into piles. Product pushed aside. Drugs didn't matter now. Survival did. Tone stood at the center of the room now. Command presence. He spoke loud enough for everyone. Listen up. Everyone turned. This our territory. Ownership. We shoot any infected on sight. No hesitation. No mercy. This war. Nobody questioned it. Military ain't protecting South Side. Tone continued. Police ain't protecting South Side. Truth. We protecting South Side. Agreement moved silently through the room. This building primary hold point, he said. Secondary locations already secured. Redundancy. Fallback positions. Supply runs start tomorrow. Food. Water. Medical. Real priorities now. We take what we need. Not stealing. Reclaiming. For the nation. Malik leaned, toward me slightly. This how we survive, he said quietly. Structure replacing chaos. Tone continued. We coordinating with BD. That still felt strange. They holding their blocks same as us. Pause. We don't shoot them unless they shoot us. Ceasefire holding. For now. Outside. Helicopters thundered overhead again. Closer this time. Gunfire echoed faintly from the north. Downtown. War zone. But down here, nothing. Just us. Left behind. Left to survive alone. I moved to the window, Glock resting in my hands. Watching my city die. Watching my territory become a battlefield. Watching the world collapse into something simpler. Kill or be killed. My phone sat silent. But Davion was alive. And Reese had given his word. We were going to him. Soon. The streets smelled of smoke, gasoline, and fear. We moved as a unit, 15 strong, through the south side, slipping between broken traffic lights and abandoned cars. The city had become a skeleton of its former self. Stores looted, windows smashed, doors barricaded. Occasionally, a lone figure lurked in the shadows, swaying unnaturally, stopped as soon as we passed. Malik led, rifle raised. Dre flanked the side. Ant and I stayed in the middle, Glock ready. Everyone moved as a single organism, trained, aware, breathing the same rhythm. First stop, a corner convenience store. Empty. Shelves stripped bare in some sections, others half full. Cans of beans, bottled water, and a few packaged goods left behind. I grabbed a bag quickly, feeling the weight of it in my hands. Dre and Malik covered the windows and swept the aisles for movement. Then came the sound, glass breaking. From the alley beside the store, a group of the infected staggered forward. Clothes torn, skin gray and wet in places, gnashing teeth. I raised my Glock. Headshots only. Malik barked. The alley erupted with gunfire. I pulled the trigger, one round snapping a skull back, another dropping a creature at my feet. They kept coming, drawn by the noise, instinct overriding reason. Dre fired the AR pistol, short bursts cracking through the alley, and screamed, "Yo, they're coming from the other side, too." We finished them quickly, but the sight stayed with me. The way they moved, unthinking, relentless. Next stop, the gun shop. Small, barricaded behind steel doors. We moved fast, found ammo for Glocks and ARs, a few extra magazines. I took stock of every round. Every bullet counted. Then, outside, the roar of engines and metal on asphalt. Military vehicles, black Humvees and armored personnel carriers, rumbled into the neighborhood. Soldiers jumped out, rifles raised. They didn't fire at us, but the presence alone froze the blood in my veins. Were they friend or threat? Nobody knew. We pulled back into an alley and waited, watching. One of the soldiers motioned to the air, talking into a radio. Explosions downtown made the ground shake. The city itself was crumbling. By midday, we reached the designated neutral building where the BD had gathered. 4 of their men stood guard, rifles ready, eyes scanning every corner. Dre and Malik exchanged nods with them. Then the formal meeting began. We all stood in the largest room. 8 BD soldiers on one side, 15 of us on the other. Reese entered, commanding attention as always. He explained our situation. Southside was effectively abandoned by official forces. Police scattered. Military focused on downtown. We were the only ones defending our streets. The BD leader, a tall man with a shaved head and piercing eyes, spoke next. He outlined their losses, the spread of the infected in their territory, and their strategies for holding corners and intersections. Everyone listened. Reese responded, emphasizing coordinated raids, rotations for supply runs, and prioritizing headshots against the infected. He proposed joint patrols, sharing intel on infected movements and fallback points for emergencies. The air was tense, but mutual understanding settled in. This wasn't friendship. It wasn't trust. It was survival. By late afternoon, plans were made. We would rotate supply runs, reinforce barricades, and coordinate our watches. Ceasefire remained in effect with the BD, but now we were moving toward cooperation. Outside, military vehicles were still patrolling. We didn't know if they were helping or scouting, but they kept their distance for now. Every movement of theirs made us cautious. Back in the GD hold, Trayvon checked his phone again. Davion still hadn't responded. But with the BD meeting concluded and our strategy set, one thing was clear. The South Side was our responsibility now, and we were armed, organized, and ready to fight for it. I slept for a short while, then took my spot back at the window. I heard them before I saw them. At first it didn't register as anything specific. Just movement. A low, shifting noise under the silence of the street. like something alive where nothing should have been alive anymore. I was at the third-floor window, rifle resting on the sill. My cheek pressed against the stock. The wood felt warm from my skin, familiar now. Too familiar. 3 days ago, I'd never held a rifle. Now I slept next to it. Behind me, Reese stood close enough I could hear him breathing. Calm. Controlled. Like always. The rest of the guys were spread across the building, GD and BD posted in positions we used to fight each other over. Now nobody argued. Nobody joked. We just waited. I leaned forward slightly, squinting down the block. And then I saw one. A person stepped into the street from between two parked cars. Except, not a person anymore. It moved wrong. Stiff. Jerky. Its head tilted at an angle that didn't look possible. Its clothes were soaked dark across the chest. Then more came out behind it. 5, 10, 20. My mouth went dry. They didn't stop coming. They filled the street, spilling out from alleys, from behind cars, from places that should have been empty. Some walked slow. Some stumbled. Some ran in sudden bursts, fast enough to make your stomach drop. I felt my heartbeat start climbing. Reese, I said quietly. They coming. He stepped beside me, raising his binoculars. I watched his face as he looked. He froze. That was when I knew how bad it was. He didn't scare easy. He lowered the binoculars slowly and grabbed the radio clipped to his vest. Everybody ready, he said calmly. Positions Alpha through Delta. Hold fire until they close. His voice didn't shake. Mine would have. Below us, the street filled with them. 50 at least. Maybe more I couldn't see yet. Their eyes weren't searching like people. They were fixed, locked forward, on us. They reached the middle of the block. Closer now. Close enough I could see faces. A woman with half her cheek missing. A man in work boots dragging one leg behind him. A kid, maybe 16. My finger rested on the trigger. I didn't fire. Not yet. Reese said wait. One of them suddenly sprinted. Not stumbled. Sprinted. It slammed into the barricade we'd built from trash bins and plywood. The impact echoed up the building. More followed. Slamming. Climbing. Piling into each other. They didn't care about pain. Didn't care about the bodies under their feet. They just wanted in. The barricade creaked. Wood bending. Breaking. My heart started pounding so hard I could feel it in my neck. They're gonna break through, someone shouted behind me. Reese raised his rifle. I saw the moment he made the decision. Fire. Everything exploded. Gunfire filled the building. Deafening. Violent. Muzzle flashes lit the room like lightning. I fired. The recoil slammed into my shoulder. The first one dropped instantly, its head snapping back, body collapsing like its strings got cut. I shifted. Fired again. Another dropped. But it didn't matter. They kept coming. They climbed over the bodies. Crawled forward with broken limbs. One reached the barricade and started clawing at it, tearing its fingers apart on the wood. Still clawing. Still pushing. I fired again. And again. My shoulder burned. My ears rang. The air filled with smoke and a metallic smell of gunpowder. They were too many. They didn't stop. Didn't hesitate. Didn't fear us. For the first time since this started, I felt it. Real fear. Not panic. Not shock. Fear we might actually lose. Then I heard something else. Engines. Loud. Heavy. Different. I stopped firing and looked north. 3 Humvees burst into the street. Military. Real military. Before I could even process it, the mounted guns opened fire. The sound was overwhelming. Deep. Mechanical. Final. The infected dropped instantly. Torn apart in seconds. Bodies fell faster than I could track. The soldiers moved like machines, precise and controlled. They weren't missing. They weren't hesitating. They wiped the street clean. I lowered my rifle slowly. Nobody in our building fired anymore. We just watched. In less than 2 minutes, it was over. Silence came back like it had never left. Bodies covered the street. The soldiers stepped out of the vehicles, scanning, rifles ready. Professional. Calm. Like this was routine now. Like this was normal. One of them looked up. At me. I froze. His rifle pointed toward the building. Not aimed, but ready. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. We stared at each other across the distance. I didn't know if he saw me as a survivor or a problem. After a moment, he lowered the rifle slightly. Not friendly. Not hostile. Just aware. They got back in the vehicles and left. Just like that. No words. No help. No rescue. Gone. The engines faded. leaving nothing but silence and death behind. They saved us, someone whispered behind me. I didn't answer. I stared at the empty street. They didn't save us. They cleared something. There was a difference. Behind me, Reese spoke to the room. This changes nothing. We hold this building. We hold this territory. I understood now. The military wasn't coming to save the South Side. They were containing it, and we were on our own inside the walls. I didn't sleep. I just sat there by the window with a rifle across my lap, watching the street like if I stared hard enough, I could keep the world from getting worse. Davion hadn't answered in hours. The last thing he said was he was safe. That word didn't mean anything anymore. Safe didn't exist. Behind me, Reese and the others sat around the folding table, maps spread out, radios, ammo, empty cans. GD and BD together, red and black mixed like it had always been that way. Nobody arguing. Nobody posturing. Survival stripped that out of people. Reese looked up at me. You ain't slept, he said. I didn't answer. He already knew why. He tapped the map. We doing a raid. Food, water, ammo. Gun shop 2 blocks west already dry, but corner store, pharmacy, apartment buildings. We sweep everything. My chest tightened. Davion's building was 4 blocks southwest. Inside sweep range. This was it. I stood up immediately. I'm coming, I said. Reese studied me. He wasn't stupid. He knew, but he didn't call it out. Just nodded once. Gear up. We moved in 12. 6 GD, 6 BD. Weapons out. Tight formation. 2-man front, 2-man rear, the rest staggered. The street smelled like rot. Bodies everywhere. Some still. Some moving slow, twitching, trying to rise. We shot them in the head as we passed. Quick. Efficient. No wasted ammo. No wasted mercy. Glass crunched under our boots. Every sound felt too loud. I stayed near the front, rifle up, eyes scanning constantly. Every step closer made my heart pound harder. 4 blocks. Felt like miles. We cleared a pharmacy first. Empty shelves. Broken glass. Blood on the floor. No bodies. That was worse. It meant movement. It meant change. We kept moving. Then we reached his block. My stomach dropped immediately. The front door of his building was open. Not broken. Open. Wrong. Very wrong. I pushed forward before Reese could say anything. Trayvon, I got it, I snapped. I stepped inside. The smell hit me instantly. Blood. Fresh enough to still be sharp. The hallway was quiet. Too quiet. I moved up the stairs fast, rifle tight against my shoulder, every nerve screaming. Second floor. His door was open. I froze. For just a second. Then I stepped inside. Everything was destroyed. Furniture overturned. Bullet holes in the walls. Blood sprayed across the floor. Drag marks. Deep ones. My breathing stopped. I walked slowly into the center of the room. Davion, I whispered. No answer. Just silence. I dropped to my knees, touching the blood on the floor. Still tacky. Not days old. Recent. Very recent. There were shell casings everywhere. He fought. He fought hard. But he wasn't here. And there was no body. That was the only thing keeping me standing. No body meant possibility. Behind me, Malik stepped in slowly. You good? He asked quietly. I didn't answer right away. I stood back up. Jaw tight. He ain't here, I said. Malik looked around. Could mean he escaped. Could mean something worse too. But I refused to say that out loud. We cleared the rest of the building. Third floor, we found something else. A door barricaded from the inside. Heavy furniture stacked. Someone had done it carefully. Intentionally. Malik knocked gently. No answer. He knocked again. We ain't infected, he said. Gang. Silence. Then a voice. Weak. Go away. Alive. Someone alive. Area secured, Malik said calmly. We clearing infected. A long pause. Then the sound of something heavy being moved slowly. The door opened just an inch. An older woman looked out. Eyes sunken. Skin pale from staying inside too long. Behind her, I saw 2 more people. Alive. Terrified. They gone? She asked. For now, Malik said. She nodded weakly. Closed the door again. Still alive. Still holding on. I stared at the door for a long moment. The world wasn't completely dead yet. People were still fighting. Just like us, we made it back before dark. The building felt different now. More alive. More organized. More permanent. I went straight to Reese. He wasn't there, I said. Reese didn't react. Just listened. Blood. Signs of fight. No body. Survivors barricaded in nearby units. Still alive. Reese nodded slowly. He picked up the radio. "This is Reese," he said calmly. "All units. New directive." His voice carried through the room. "We sweeping every block. Every building. Joint patrols GED and BD. Clear infected. Gather supplies. Locate survivors." He looked at all of us. "This our territory now. Our responsibility." Nobody argued. Nobody hesitated. "We bring survivors in," he continued. "Doctors. Mechanics. Anybody useful. Anybody alive." The gangs weren't gangs anymore. We were becoming something else. Something bigger. Something necessary. Reese looked at me. "We find him," he said quietly. I nodded. I didn't trust my voice. That night, I sat back at the window again, rifle in my lap, staring into the dark. Somewhere out there, Davion was alive. He had to be. I refused to believe anything else. The city had fallen. The military wasn't saving us. The police were gone. It was just us now, and I would tear this entire city apart if I had to. To find him, morning didn't come with light anymore. It came with noise. Boots on wood floors. Radios crackling. Metal scraping metal as barricades got shifted, reinforced, checked again and again like rituals. Nobody trusted stillness. Stillness meant something was waiting. I stood at the window with my rifle, looking down at the street we had cleared yesterday. It stayed clear. That was the difference now. Before, the streets belonged to nobody. Now, they belonged to us. Below me, 15 GED and BD moved together in formation, not separated by colors or old hate, but by roles. 2-point men, 4 behind. Others staggered, watching windows, alleys, rooftops, covering angles like they'd been trained their whole lives for this. Maybe we had, just not like this. Reese stood beside me, watching too. "They learning," he said quietly. He wasn't wrong. We all were. We weren't corner boys anymore. Weren't trap house soldiers. Weren't just gang members holding territory for money, drugs, pride. We were becoming something else. Something closer to an army. Not official. Not recognized. But real. Necessary. We moved out an hour later. 30 of us now. Joint patrol. GD and BD mixed completely. Nobody questioned it anymore. Nobody even said the words ceasefire. It wasn't a ceasefire. It was survival. I walked near the front, rifle steady in my hands, eyes scanning everything automatically. Every doorway. Every car. Every shadow. We cleared buildings one by one. Kick door. Check corners. Check rooms. Check bodies. One of the infected stumbled out of a bedroom, jaw snapping uselessly. Malik shot it clean through the head before it could even fully register we were there. No hesitation. No words. We kept moving, block by block, street by street, reclaiming it. Not for drugs. Not for money. For life. We found survivors sometimes. A man barricaded inside a bathroom, dehydrated so bad he couldn't stand. A woman and her daughter hiding inside a closet, surrounded by empty food wrappers. A mechanic who hadn't left his apartment in 5 days, clutching a wrench like it was the only thing keeping him alive. We brought them all back. Everyone. Reese had been clear. We needed people now. Not soldiers. People. Skills. Builders. Fixers. Doctors. The South Side wasn't dying. It was changing. We were changing with it. By afternoon, we reached the edge of our patrol zone. And that was when we heard them. Engines. Different from ours. Heavier. Military. The Humvees rolled into view slow and deliberate, armored and untouched by the chaos surrounding them. Soldiers stepped out in formation, weapons ready, but not firing. They weren't here to fight. They were here to tell us something. One of them raised a loudspeaker. His voice echoed down the empty street. "This area is now designated a containment zone." The words hung in the air. Cold. Official. Final. All civilians are ordered to evacuate north immediately. Military operations will continue. Anyone remaining inside the containment zone does so at their own risk. Containment. Not rescue. Containment. They weren't saving us. They were sealing us in. Reese stood beside me, silent. Nobody moved. Nobody obeyed. Where were we supposed to go? This was our home. These streets raised us, fed us, shaped us, and now we protected them. Not the other way around. The soldier lowered the loudspeaker. They didn't argue. They didn't force us. They just got back into their vehicles and left. Same as before. Same message. You're on your own. We walked back as the sun started to fall, our boots heavy with exhaustion, but steady with purpose. Our building stood stronger now. Barricaded doors, covered windows, supply rooms filled with food, water, ammunition, weapons stacked carefully, people inside, alive, talking, breathing, surviving. Our territory, our refuge, our responsibility. I went back to my window when night came. The same window I'd been sitting in for days. My rifle rested across my lap. The street below was quiet. Safe. For now. Somewhere out there, Davion was still missing. Every cleared building that didn't have him inside felt heavier than the last. Every survivor that wasn't him hurt in a way I couldn't explain. The not knowing was worse than anything. If he was dead, at least it would be certain. But he wasn't. Not in my mind. Not in my heart. I leaned forward, resting my forehead against the cool glass. I thought about his voice. The way he laughed low when something actually surprised him. The way he looked at me when nobody else was watching. We were supposed to leave this life one day. That was the plan. Not like this. Never like this. The city stretched out in front of me, dark and broken and alive in a way it had never been before. The south side wasn't gone. It was hardened, forged into something new, something dangerous, something that belonged to us now. We had guns. We had supplies. We had people. We had purpose. We had each other. But I still didn't have him, and I didn't know if I ever would. I closed my eyes for a moment. Just breathing, just existing. Somewhere out there, he was either fighting or he wasn't. And until I knew for sure, I would keep going, keep clearing, keep protecting, keep surviving. For this territory, for these people, for him. The night stayed quiet. And for the first time since the world ended, the south side of Chicago didn't feel abandoned. It felt defended, even if my heart wasn't. That's it for today's story. We would love to see you again soon. But most importantly, stay safe out there.